This number is known as the Vine Seed. Discovered by the Minecraft seed finder extraordinaire EXE Solver in 2022, it's the fastest possible way to beat Minecraft. With over 18 quintillion Minecraft seeds, this is an incredible claim to make. But the Vine Seed's unique characteristics makes it something incredibly special. With the discovery of the seed, an intense speedrun battle commenced, where runners fought for the ultimate achievement, to beat Minecraft faster than anyone else in the world. With this goal in mind, speedrunners had to take this world to its absolute limit, perfecting their movements and mechanics, making every millisecond count. This is the story of Minecraft's most impressive race, a race that forced speedrunners to take a leap of faith and trust that they are the best. June 6, 2022. The first day of the seed's discovery, and the day hundreds of speedrunners would load up to the world for the first time ever. Their goal? To route, speedrun, and potentially snag the first world record on the seed. But to get a world record in one of the most prestigious categories in Minecraft will be harder than many would think. Step 1 of their journey into the Vine Seed came down to routing. In Set Seed, this route always had to achieve 3 different objectives. Get beds for the 1 cycle, obsidian to get to and from the nether, and navigating through the seeds so you can successfully enter the end dimension. Upon loading into the world itself, you spawn within this rectangle, overlooking a peaceful village situated on a plains biome. As you observe your surroundings, you're met with a few village houses, a church, a few blacksmiths, and even a room portal. In total, there are 9 houses that the player could potentially visit to obtain their beds, and 2 blacksmiths the player had to visit in each run. Using some rough math, this means that the speedrunner has 90,720 different routes that they could take if they were only to get 4 beds. Add 1 more, and this increases exponentially to over 600,000. So finding a route that prioritizes speed and efficiency could prove itself harder than one would think. Moving on to the nether, the speedrunner spawned in a warp forest. To get to the coordinates of our exit portal, you had to do a few parkour jumps and then navigate through a basalt delta. A challenge speedrunners also had to address would be that the exact course you had to build your obsidian portal in was over a lava lake, meaning that any potential route would have to fix this before they can even attempt the route in the first place. Speedrunner JK was determined to be among the first to show a route of the Vine Seed. On the very first day, he posted several videos on his YouTube showing his different ideas and routes as the day went by. His route was as follows. Collect a bed from house number 1, then loot the blacksmith. Run up towards house number 7, where you mine into the walls and quickly mine the bed to collect it. Finish the bed collection by looting beds from house number 8 and 9. Jump down to the room portal, loot it, then start building the base of your nether portal as you run towards the blacksmith. Now loot that and then finish the portal. While waiting for the portal animation to finish, he mined 2 blocks for later. Time of entry was 38 seconds. Now in the nether, he started by mining a single block of netherrack as he ran towards a small gap that he jumped over. He then mined more blocks as he ran straight through the canopy of trees, quickly approaching a huge gap in front of him. Jumping down the trees and landing on a vine, he negated most of the fall damage and was now at the end of the route. Using the blocks he mined earlier, he had his bridge and would start building the nether portal in the exact location to spawn in the portal room. Final time 1:15, meaning his end enter would have been 1:20. The Vine Seed would for the next few hours get countless optimizations, improving JK's route to an insane degree. Speedrunners like Kindplace noticed that the nether terrain changed if you were playing the version 1.16.5, meaning the vine jump was a lot easier to do. The vine jump would be further developed by Hanabi with a huge leap from the edge of the nether cliff. Crimson would obtain the first sub-34 overworld, and only a few hours later, Loki got the first sub-33 overworld. All of these innovations and PBs were building up to something big. Something revolutionary. The person who could obtain the first world record on the seed would break the 3-month reign that Rayo had. But to beat his time was easier said than done. Even with all of these new strats, it would be a daunting task to beat his 153-252. No, to beat a world record, you would need a game changer. And just as people started doubting in the seed's ability to world record, EXE Solver once more proved them wrong. By simulating millions upon millions of endfights using the different set seeds, EXE would find that the normal fast north-south perch, where the dragon perched between the two obsidian towers, was actually not the fastest it could perch. In fact, it was on average a lot slower. The conclusion was, if you could stand diagonally between the dragon and the perch, you could initiate an insanely fast perch, which would on average save you around 4 seconds. New setups will be developed by Seku and Darby that incorporated this new perch style. Feeling reinvigorated, speedrunners once more got to grinding, chipping away at their best times inch by inch. And 5 days into the seed's discovery, one runner would finally make the Vine Seed the world record seed. And it's only fitting that the runner in question was Rayo himself. Rayo was clearly not pulling any punches, and the run was truly amazing to spectate. Final time 1 minute 52 seconds and 350 milliseconds. A world record by 1 second and 98 milliseconds. It was an insanely optimized run with head hitters, fast looting, and every strat in the book so far, just to squeeze out each and every last frames. It also utilized a really important time save, one so obscure you probably missed it in the run itself. It happened here, here, and also here. What Rayo was doing is something speedrunners like to call cooldown skip. In simple terms, cooldown is a function of mining that happens each time you mine a block. If you were to mine another block afterwards, you would need to wait a period of time before you can actually start the breaking animation. But how is this useful for set seed runners? Well, it's really useful because by starting the mining animation and cancelling it, you're basically getting rid of the cooldown the next time you mine a block. So for instance, by mining a bit here while running, you're saving a whole 0.25 seconds when you need to mine this block. This applies to each and every time you want to mine a block, saving you a ton of time overall. Rayo's world record put the Vine Seed on everyone's radar. It was now actually possible to achieve a world record on the seed, and the thought of achieving such a prestigious feat became an alluring motivator for the many ambitious runners trying to claim the throne of the best speedrunner in the world. But what could you possibly save time on? Beating a run like Rayo's was a task many found insanely hard, as just getting on the pace would require hundreds upon hundreds of hours of practice, and even then, the RNG needed to make everything align could deter even the most patient of people. No, the person to beat Rayo would have to be so insane at the game, so dedicated to set seed, that they made it a life mission to inch out each and every millisecond. His name was Magnetic Maybe, a speedrunner whose only rival was Rayo himself. A man so dedicated to speedrunning set seed, he had 5 world records to his name, and was now looking for more. And only a few days after Rayo's legendary 152, Magnetic would get on a run that could possibly beat Rayo's. One bed, 2, 3, 4. Magnetic would sadly never get the world record on this attempt, and feeling dejected, he stopped playing for the day. But in speedrunning, setbacks and defeats are just another word for practice. Because if you want to be the best, you have to accept that even when everything is pushing against you, you have to push back even harder. And that's exactly what Magnetic did, going on an insane grind, polishing his skills, his mechanics, his execution, and finally, on literally the last run of June 19th, 2022, he would load up the seed once more and play Minecraft faster than anyone else in the world.
way! That was the last second! Oh my god!
Magnetic's monumental achievement set an all-time high, displaying a level of skill not many could replicate. But Magnetic still thought the seed could go lower. He was positive he could get a 149. All he would need was just to be a bit faster, 809 milliseconds to be precise. Something he was willing to grind for. And it's not like his thought process was wrong. In his newly acquired world record, he did have a few mishaps happening, which reduced his final time, such as the bed in house number 2 not dropping towards him, forcing him to mine the glass plane to pick it up, losing him a second. And 6 days into this grind, he would prove his prowess once more by getting this run. 1 minute, 49 seconds and 435 milliseconds. The first sub 150 ever in set seed glitchless, and a huge milestone for set seed runners, marking possibly the last ever 10-second barrier being breached. But to improve upon such a record once again would require immense practice, forcing runners to boot up custom-made practice maps so they could go back to the basics. Because at this point, in order to get a world record, you would need to consistently enter the end in under 1 minute and 3 seconds. Various bridging forms will be looked at. Portal building will be sharpened and refined to perfection, and even Magnetic himself would spend hours perfecting his overwall split down to 30.55. In the Nether, things were a bit more complicated. This section mostly involved clean movements, where each jump followed a cycle that optimized head hitters. Hanabi would compile several routes that took into account how many blocks you had and where you could place them to optimize the routes to its max. Setseed had entered an age where exploration and just being fast wasn't enough. You had to be so consistent, so sharp in each angle, in each craft, that simply thinking wasn't enough anymore. Each action had to be so ingrained that muscle memory and instinct took over. And it wouldn't take long before players like Loki would get an end enter in under 1 minute, beating Magnetic's world record by a whole 3 seconds. And on the 24th of September 2022, Loki got on an insane run where he entered the Nether in 32 seconds, well on pace to beat Magnetic. He flowed through the Nether section with grace, placing blocks to head hit on and making sure to utilize well-timed cooldown skips to optimize his mining. Entering the end at a comfortable high 101, he only needed a lucky perch, and as fate would have it, he got it. Now, all he would need to do was to perform the 1 cycle, the last section of the run, and the most important one. Unfortunately, Loki would not get the world record on this day. Rather, another familiar speedrunner would get it, only a day after Loki's 148 choke. The person to finally beat Magnetic would reveal himself to be Rayo once more. A world record of under 200 milliseconds, and a testament to one of the most common phenomenons in speedrunning. As you approach perfection in a run, each run starts becoming a copy of the other, as every runner tries to find the smallest time saves in their respective routes. Rayo and Magnetic's fierce competition on the Vine Seed elevated the seed's popularity to a new level. There was just something about watching these two speedrun legends duke it out for the world record that fostered a sense of admiration. But this rivalry also garnered the attention of one speedrunner, a speedrunner who had already snagged a 114 and 117 world record and was now looking to sharpen his skills and get the world record once more. This runner was Empirekills, a veteran speedrunner who picked up the seed in mid-July of 2022 and had been silently grinding in the seed all this time. Empire had it all: consistency, mechanics, and sheer dedication, and all he would need was one lucky break. One run that entered the end in around 1 minute and 2 seconds, where the dragon actually snapped and gave him the perch. And on the last month of 2022, Empirekills sent this message in his Setseed Discord, letting everyone know he got it. A world record of under 1/10 of a second, an utterly ridiculous feat the one Empire managed to pull off. The strange thing about this run was that Empire wasn't actually faster than Rayo when it came to entering the end. In fact, Rayo was a whole 0.274 seconds faster when entering, but Empire simply beat him by getting a slightly faster perch. Basically, Empire got luckier. But in Setseed, luck has a totally different meaning from what many might associate with it. Being lucky is simply the result of being consistent, as each runner grinds for hours, getting multiple 1 minute and 1 second end enter. The chance of getting a fast perch increases exponentially, and Empire simply took advantage of this by dedicating all his free time to going not only fast, but also improving his consistency down to perfection. Empire's world record set a new expectation of what top-level pace was. His run was probably the last one on this seed that required such luck, as the chance of getting an even faster perch on the same pace was so unlikely that it's not even discussable. To set it into perspective, to get a 47.5 second end fight required a 1 in 250 chance perch, meaning that you would have to enter the end on average around 250 times in around 1 minute to even get the chance of obtaining his luck. And even then, the possibility of choking or other factors could ruin your run. To show just how insane of a pace you would need, here are some splits Magnetic himself went for to get end enders in under a minute. First, he would reset if he couldn't enter the first house in under 3.4 seconds. This brings back the rectangle I showed in the beginning of the video. In order to get such a spawn, you would have to reset each world until you spawned around here to even get this time. The next split he reset for was to open the blacksmith chest in under 8 seconds. Second bed break, 12.8 seconds. Room portal chest, 22.8 seconds. Enter Nether under 31 seconds, and the Nether section would have to be completed in under 28.4 seconds. Do all of this and you get one run that enter the end in under 1 minute. Crazy, right? Well, now imagine doing similar pace for hours on end, 250 times only to get one shot at getting the world record on average. What I'm trying to say is that getting sub 1 end enters wasn't a task anyone could do. You had to practice your portal building skills, bridging, looting, and even small things such as how you entered and exited village houses. Since the requirement for world record just got a lot harder during Empire's reign, one speedrunner decided to give himself an ultimatum. He would give himself one final chance to obtain the world record, as he saw that the grind for world record was reaching a point where even he thought it was ridiculous. The man in question was Rayo. He gave himself 2 months to grind for it, streaming his attempts on Twitch. At first, the grind wasn't really going so well, and the first months of the session would come and go. Most of his pace at this time was around a 1 minute, 1 second, and 500 milliseconds end enters, just at the cusp of world record pace. His average end enters were also quite high, at around 10 to 15 times an hour. To set that into perspective, he would have to play the Vine Seed for 16 hours on average with that pace to get one attempt at the world record. Fortunately, Rayo possessed one trait any speedrunner dreams of having: a tenacious and stubborn mind, set on achieving his goal of once more becoming the best Minecraft speedrunner in the world. Christmas would come and go, and further down the line, the New Year's. And then, the last day, January 1st, 2023. Booting up Minecraft, he started the grind session once more, live on Twitch for the last time. Not really expecting much. As the hours went by, he noticed that he had to end stream and would do one last run. This is that run. Rayo had broken the 149 barrier, a barrier that had lasted from June 2022 to January 2023, and the run was played with a level of skill not many could replicate, from looting the blacksmith chest in only 800 milliseconds to opening the room portal in 22.8 seconds. In total, he spent 4.2 seconds building the first nether portal, entering the nether in 31.6 seconds. But this was only the beginning, as his nether was navigated seemingly perfectly, doing all the tricks mentioned so far, from head hitters, cooldown skip, a beautiful vine jump, and even completing the second obsidian portal in 4.2 seconds. Entering the final section, time had reached 1 minute and 900 milliseconds, a tough time to beat for any potential competitor trying to snag his world record. But who would be willing to spend literally days of grinding the Vine Seed following race 148? It had already taken over 6 months to progress the seed down a second, as the seed's linear route didn't allow for many optimizations besides just being faster and not making mistakes. But the Vine Seed had never really been about big route changes. All the world records so far have been done mainly through optimizing macro time saves that each saved frames, but in total would make a huge difference at the end of the run. These small micro time saves were things such as standing as far away as possible when looting the blacksmith to cover more distance, head hitting under the end portal frames to go just a bit faster, sprinting before picking up beds to achieve top speed faster, and even integrating faster bridging methods to save time. In summary, the Vine Seed was becoming brutal, and top speedrunners were feeling it. Magnetic especially, as he was on the cusp of almost quitting after choking a 147 on the 23rd of January. But he recognized something, that despite the strict requirements, he could keep up. At the peak of his grind, he was able to maintain 6 end enters per hour that was under 1 minute, forcing him to grind the seed for approximately 41 hours non-stop to get world record on such pace. His grind session finished with a successful run on the 27th of January 2023, a beautiful run that obliterated Rayos by 307 milliseconds. But the reason why I'm not covering it is because Magnetic himself never actually submitted this run. Despite it being world record, Magnetic messed up the second nether portal, losing a total of 700 milliseconds. This perfectly shows just how ahead Magnetic was. Despite losing 2/3 of a second, he still obtained a world record. But Magnetic knew he could do better. Remembering his chokes, his PBs, his ups and downs, day by day, all in attempt to make history. He wanted to leave everyone in the dust, to prove not just to his peers, but to himself that all the hours spent grinding away at the Vine Seed had been worth it. Because at the end of the day, speedrunning is all about proving to yourself that if you put enough effort into something, you can achieve anything. And what better way to do this than through a relentless pursuit of being the best? And on the 8th of February 2023, he proved this by speedrunning the Vine Seed faster than anyone else had done ever. Beginning with fast loading the blacksmith's chest, Magnetic made his way to break the second bed at 13 seconds. Mixing in head hitters under the trees, he broke bed number 3 and 4 in quick succession, reaching the room portal in 22.5 seconds, which he completed in only 3.6 seconds. Jumping across the nether terrain, he further cruised under the canopies of trees, head hitting under the leaves once again, speeding his way across the basalt, cooldown skipping to break the vine. As he was falling, he must have realized this was definitely world record pace. Beginning his bridging across a lava lake, he focused up. This was it. Performing one last head hit under the end portal frame, he entered sub 1 minute. This was all the grind had been for. As the dragon circled in the sky, Magnetic looked at her, and before he knew it, she snapped, beginning her slow descent. And Magnetic would have to do one thing: perform one last cycle. 1 bed, 2, 3, and before the dragon could perform its last swing, 4. Magnetic finished the run with an insane 1 cycle, shaving off 1.6 seconds by not waiting for the dragon's last swing. This action would be his saving grace, giving him a world record of 365 milliseconds, with a final time of 1 minute 47 seconds and 749 milliseconds, breaching the 147 barrier. From 152 to to 147, a 5-second journey that has taken speedrunners 8 months to complete. A tale that I think perfectly shows just how dedicated some are to speedrunning, and one I couldn't help but tell to you. Thank you so much for watching.